So we got Psychosis versus Big Bird. What do you know any of these players? Do you know what they like to play and what we might see come out in bands here?
So I know enough about both teams just by virtue of A, playing against BBC last year, and B, you know, casting a few games of Psychosis. So I do have a better than regular understanding of these two teams. That being said, I do know that BBC loves to play through their jungler, Save the Fishes. He is a great player, really well known for his variety of champions that he pulls into the jungle. And I expect that we will see them play through their mid jungle or top jungle synergy. That being said, moving over to Psychosis, their team is actually, I believe, has added some new players to make them competitive in this division. If we recall last season, they were actually in the yellow division. So they actually jumped up divisions to be able to compete with the big boys, which is awesome to see. And so because of that, there's some newfound talent that we're not used to seeing on the Rift. I know their top laner rather is Masters ranked, and so it should be interesting to see him go up against the top laner from BBC, which is Inbred Loser.
Should definitely be interesting. We are getting into picks and bans here. We've got Mbessa, Zillion, and Seraphine starting out for Psychosis, and Swain, Urgot, and Nasus coming out for the side of Big Bird Club. So definitely will be interested to see how all that goes. A lot of top lane focus here for BBC. A lot of general focus on enchanters here for Psychosis.
Yeah,
And we
I
got.
would imagine.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you.
we got a Nami pick coming in for Psychosis. Definitely a very strong first pick here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're picking the Nami, it does, give the impression that you're trying to go for some early game dominance. I would imagine they would, pair that with like a Lucian or possibly an MF or something else that can deal some heavy damage and really win that 2v2 early on. We're just going to have to wait and see what they grab here on the side of BBC. They grab the Corki, a very, very safe first pick, which is going to leave a lot of doors open for the side of Psychosis. That being said, I would imagine that they're going to pair it with some kind of hard engage or the exact opposite, maybe a Karma, maybe Lulu. Although it would be really awkward, Lulu playing an Anami, but that is a very common matchup. It just doesn't mean that you'll have any power in the early game. Probably gonna wait for that Mundo to scale and play that way. But they do pick the Smolder, so they kind of signal that they are also looking to scale as well on the side of Psychosis. So I wonder what they're going to be playing here on the side of Big Bird. I would imagine they're going to go something like Karma.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. Nami Smolder is really strong. I know Nami Corki is also a really strong lane, so good eye by the side of Big Bird Club to pick that up before Psychosis can snatch it. Renekton coming out as well for the last pick on BBC.
Yeah, I really don't like this on the side of BBC unless you're really planning on pivoting Renekton and Mundo into different lanes, which is just not really that common. I don't agree with picking your top laner and your jungler this early on, especially because you're not really sure which lane Zahen's going into. That being said, Renekton can beat Zahen in lane. Same thing with Mundo. You just have to play it correctly, but just a little awkward that they would pick those champions. And they're banning top laners, so they must think that this is Zahen's jungle.
Ooh, must be Zahen jungle. I would assume. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but that would be going likely into the Mundo. I have not seen that matchup before, but I'd definitely be interested to see where that goes.
Mundo will win later on, but assuming Zahen doesn't just get a few kills and get really ahead, because then it's really hard for Mundo to do anything against Zahen. It is really a wash in that lane, but Zahen does have the advantage earlier on. Relatively like level 4 to level 6. He can get the best of Dr. Mundo, especially before he has his ultimate. But if Dr. Mundo plays it well and just outspaces him, he can just, chunk Zahen down really low. And, if his jungler's around, it's going to create some problems for the Zahen. So I don't think, but that being said, I don't think the Zahen's going to go top. It's probably going to be a jungler, and they probably read that very well already. The Karma, we do see the Karma come out with a Corki. That was, foretold earlier in the draft. I wonder what they're going to be playing in response to this Mundo on the top side, unless they're going Mundo jungle, which is very common. So I would expect we're going to see we're going to have to see the top laner, mid laner here, but I'm very curious to see what they grab in response to the Mundo Renekton.
And it definitely could still be Zahan top. I don't know that matchup is very favored into Zahan, as Renekton has pretty strong laning phase, but Brand picked up likely for the mid lane here. Still could be jungle potentially. We'll see what they pick up.
Yeah, they could pivot Brand into the jungle as Zahan top lane if they feel like that's a good matchup in the Mundo, or the Renekton rather. Again, we're gonna have to wait and see what they plan on doing on the side of BBC. Renekton can go mid if the matchup is decent, but with the Cho'Gath, you really throw a wrench into things. I like Psychosis's thought behind this. It really does make BBC have to guess where these champions are going and puts them on the back foot. Considering that they had a last pick, that's a really good place to be if you're on the side of Psychosis. So I do like a little bit of this draft jitsu that they've got going on right now. I'm gonna have to wait and see what Big Bird thinks they're placing players. Okay, so they're just gonna go safe, grab the Xerath. That way, even if Cho'Gath is mid or Brand, you just outrange. Oh, they swap back to the Orianna. That's interesting.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are live in game for the first one of BBC versus Psychosis. How you feeling about this, Blackmage?
Feeling really good. I really am excited to see both of these teams face off for the first time this season. I'm excited to see if BBC, brings back the same ferocity that they were known for, in Green Division last season. And, this is the team that won it all last season. So they've got a lot of pride riding on their shoulders at this point to continue up this spree. I think your camera is currently stuck.
Yep, there we go.
Also, we don't have game sound. I don't know if you are able to turn, or do we have game sound?
We should definitely have, we definitely have game sound being broadcast. It may not come through, yeah.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting set, and hopefully we see 3 games, right? The majority of the sets this week have been straight 2-0s, except for the Glacier set and Bushwalkies match. So I'm excited to see some more competitiveness between teams, and hopefully we get it here.
Yeah, definitely excited. We're starting to see a little bit of poke coming out in the mid lane, some prio coming in from the Karma Corki lane, interestingly enough. I definitely thought that Nami would make the lane a little bit more even. Smolder definitely not known for early pushing power, so hopefully Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thuggy will be able to take advantage of that. In the
definitely.
In the mid lane, going about as we expected. It's kind of it's kind of poke back and forth. Both of these champions kind of doing their best to deal as much damage as they can to each other. Ooh, good stun.
I think that towards this early to mid game, Dusk Legends on the Brand will definitely have more of an advantage, especially in those short trades. But once the Orianna gets some items, once Save the Fishes is free to actually roam towards the mid lane, I think that will change, especially because Brand CC gets kind of negated by virtue of the Mundo kit, so they're going to be able to dive very easily. If Mundo takes tower damage and he's got the Orianna ball on top of him, those ganks are going to be very, very easy to pull off. And I don't think that Dusk Legends will really have the ability to withstand that onslaught. All he has is the flash, and he elected for TP, so we're just gonna have to wait and see how that goes. But right now, Seafill is doing a pretty good job of keeping him off the wave. But Dusk Legends is landing some good return damage.
Yeah, not a lot of mana.
Top side.
Ooh, see if Save the Fishes can come eat a dragon, or I guess not really a dragon, more like a void monster.
They might be looking to dive him. I think and rightfully so, they make a good call to get him off that wave, and that's a great heads-up play by Save the Fishes on the side of BBC, recognizing that they have the power to keep Aznatil off the tower. Yeah, and now he's gonna go down nearly a wave of EXP and CS because of that short little play.
Yeah, definitely a good look from Inbred Loser. Has been pressuring that lane this entire time, but we may see a solo kill. Ooh, good flashes.
Yeah, a nice duel of the fates there. Both players spend their flash trying to get an advantage. and Brand able to just barely, or sorry, Oriana rather, Seafoal on the Oriana just barely able to make it out of there alive. Meanwhile, on the bot side, lane's going as expected. Pretty standard things here. No one really has too much of an advantage, and I don't expect there to be one for quite some time in this bot side.
Definitely a little worrying about the lack of mana on the side of Sunny Waffle. Likely going to need to reset. Psycho doing a lot better in terms of mana management there. But the lane's pretty even, actually. It's 40 CS to 36, and Smolder's got quite a few stacks as well. So if Psycho can keep that up, it should be a pretty easy mid game for him, just trying to get to that 250s. We see a bit of a 3-man invade here.
Yeah, Burgle's not in a good place right now. It looks like the side of BBC is going to get the better of this. First Blood going to Save the Fishes. An excellent heads-up play by the likes of Save the Fishes, Seafoal, and Chicken Thuggy, all roaming at the right time and being in the right place. They not only get the kill, but also the camp, and that's going to put Burgle quite behind. And already, we're looking at a 1.3k gold lead for the side of BBC.
And I just definitely want to point out how good of a support Chicken Thuggy is, also known as Melon in the server. Definitely very good at communicating, roaming, being where she needs to be at any given time. So we're seeing that come out here in that First Blood play, getting the information that they needed, knowing where Zaheen was going to be, and punishing him at his own camp.
Yeah, they're turning that immediately into a dragon play, right? And so now they're even, they're one objective up. They're that much closer to stacking dragons, which with their team is kind of like the name of the game, right? You've got Inbred Loser and Chicken Thuggy on these early to mid game champions that are kind of designed to hold down the pressure and let your champions scale as best they can. You've got Oriana, Save the Fishes, Seafoal and the Oriana, Save the Fishes on this Mundo, but we do have an attack, something going on the bot side. It looks like Chicken Thuggy is just going to get the better of Reborn, get some nice poke damage, but Psycho a little bit pissed, trying to get some return damage of his own, but it's not going to end up amounting to much. Like I was saying, Sunny Waffle, Seafoal, Save the Fishes, all on champions that scale relatively well into the end game, and so getting them their items safely is a good look.
Yeah, and speaking of Drakes, we've got a lot of fighting power potentially coming out on these Drakes. Wind Drake being the first one and Ocean being the upcoming one means the only real defensive soul that we could get is Mountain Soul. Everything else is kind of fighting power.
Yeah, let's hope it is fighting power. I really enjoy those games more so than the defensive games. That being said, Inbred Loser does take some tower shots. Reborn up here to save the potential dive from occurring. I don't think that it's as not, dude, that is cursed. Asnatil, bro, that is tough. Who let that through?
Definitely a tough name to say.
Yeah, I think Asnatil was, in a good spot regardless. So, he's actually getting the better of Inbred Loser. Inbred Loser needs to be careful. But Inbred Loser does have the ult of his own, so he is going to be able to respond in kind to get some good damage down. And Asnatil does need to be a little bit careful because Inbred does have his flash. Meanwhile, on the mid side, Dusk Legends is going to get absolutely ganged by 3 people from the side of BBC, and he's going to fall to Seafoal shortly thereafter. But meanwhile, on the top side, Inbred Loser goes ahead and dives onto the tower and ends up getting a kill of his own. That's 3-0 for the side of BBC.
Yeah, really, really good plays there. I think the roam, and kind of what you were talking about earlier, where Save the Fishes can just walk in with the Oriana ball, and there's nothing that Dusk Legends can do on that brand. He just kind of had to stand there. He didn't have a flash. There was no way to escape that play, and what are you supposed to do as an immobile mage when you're being run down by 3 people?
Right, it is kind of the problem with playing champions like this in the mid lane. We saw them burn their flashes earlier in that aggressive play where Dusk Legends was trying to get the last auto attack onto Seafoal under that mid tower, and rightfully so, Save the Fishes calls that out. Probably is the one that's responsible for letting them know, hey, it's time to gank, and they pull it off very nicely and net Seafoal a kill.
Definitely a little wild to me that they didn't immediately move to the grubs as they were coming up in just a couple of seconds after that play. Zaheen actually able to pick up 2 of them, and Save the Fishes is only going to get the last remaining one if he so desires.
Something I do want to bring up really quickly before I forget to mention. So Save the Fishes is up nearly 20 farm, a little bit more than 20 farm in the jungle. So quite a nice lead on him. Inbred Loser is getting the better of this matchup. I think something should be said about it. Renekton will eventually, well, after, you know, level 4 pretty much, Renekton has Cho'Gath's number. As long as he manages his health correctly, he's going to win those 1v1 trades, especially if he's able to dodge out of the knockup.
Yeah, BBC definitely identifying the lanes that they need to really push ahead. That mid lane, once again, Save the Fishes here. Dusk Legends using his flash, but just what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah, immediately burns his flash as soon as it's back up, and it doesn't matter at all. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Sully Waffle is nothing but dead. And Psycho going to get the first kill of the game for Psychosis. Some life plunged into the bot lane down here.
I do think it was a bit of a mistake. Sunny Waffle had both summoners, unless that is a spectator bug, which I don't think it is. We haven't really seen them use any of their summoners, so I think if he had flashed the Zaheen hook, he probably would have been fine. But
I think Reborn might have comboed his ultimate into the bubble knockup perfectly, and so there was really only a fraction of a second where he could have flashed. Even if you do flash, I feel like you die anyways, so I kind of do like the fact that Sunny Waffle held his flash there, unless he saw them all way earlier in the fight, in which case he should have just flashed earlier, right? Made the created some distance before that ult even came out.
Yeah, definitely a little frustrating, I'm sure, from the side of BBC. Kind of not losing out a little bit in that bot lane when the rest of the map is going so well. You really want to keep that Smolder from scaling too quickly. But it looks like they are going to get the second Drake here. Will be interesting to see how they respond to that bot lane gank. I definitely want some... I want to see them hold down the Smolder somewhat, because if he gets ahead at come, 25, 30 minutes, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, so I went ahead and watched the replay from earlier, and Sunny Waffle actually did not see Burgle, and once again doesn't see him. He comes around the corner, but he's trying to get something out of it. He does. He flashes forward to get the kill on Reborn. Meanwhile, Burgle going in, and three-man ultimates. He's going to get something back for that. No, he's not. Sunny Waffle barely able to get out of there with his hair on his chin, and Psycho looking like he can't really do much either. He's so low on health. Seafool and Chicken Thuggy are trying to get some more damage onto Dusk Legends, who came down to try to offer some support, but the only support he's going to get is an orb in the face. Meanwhile, he does get a stun onto Seafool, who almost barely gets away there. I for sure thought he was going to die there because of the passive on Brand.
Yeah, a lot of...
all said and done. Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of blinking health bars at the end of that fight. Psycho definitely playing that very well, not going down there, but great play coming out from Sunny Waffle, just seeing that Zaheen and deciding, you know what, we're going to run it no matter what.
Definitely. Yeah, it was an interesting play. Chicken Thuggy might be in a bad spot here. He needs to be really careful. Reborn's already used his ultimate. He's going to fall down shortly thereafter. Chicken Thuggy... oh, wait, what just happened? Oh, he got the kill on Reborn, but then he fell. Okay, I understand now. Burgle gets the kill. Kill onto Zaheen is definitely something good. I think at the end of the day, you're probably glad to get that trade as Psychosis, given that you were already this far down, only at 12 minutes. I mean, we're talking about a 5k gold lead. Inbred Loser does take a shower shot, but he's able to get a plate in return.
And Mindo just kind of walking wherever he pleases in this game. I'd be very surprised if there's any... That's going to take at least 3 to 4 members of Psychosis to take him down at this point.
Yeah, Save the Fishes definitely is playing out of his mind already in this series. He's 2-0-1, 250 gold bounty, but it's really the farm that's the huge difference maker here. I mean, he's almost 40 farm up, or he is 40 farm up on Burgle, not to mention the two dives, or the two ganks on the mid lane that's really gotten Seafool ahead as well. Seafool, in kind, is also almost 40 farm up with a 300 gold bounty. I mean, if there's one thing that you know about BBC, it's their jungle mid synergy that they've built, and it's on full display right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming out in perfect unison for this first game. Definitely exciting to see. The Orianna with the Mundo is going to make that game, this game, so difficult. And even putting it on Renekton, you know, Renekton is doing quite well himself, and Seafill's gonna go for the kill here, it looks like.
Yeah, I think this game is really, really cooked in the you know, side lanes, and by that I mean really mid lane and top lane. These champions are just absolutely, you know, I mean, Azatil is just kind of getting gapped at this point. And with Save the Fishes constantly putting pressure on that top side, it's not going to get any better as the game progresses. So you really have to think, okay, how will we win this game? And I think the only answer at this point is through bot lane, through Psycho on the scaling Smolder. But, you know, otherwise it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and there goes Aznatil again. Unfortunately, Inbred Loser and Save the Fishes just walking up and giving him the business, I guess. Getting some Heartsteel stacks for free. Definitely, like you were saying, you have to think about how you win this game, and I think it really is on that Smolder, on the scaling potential that he has, on the scaling potential that you have in top lane. Like, you kind of just have to survive to 25 minutes and just hope that it's enough. Seafill.
Yeah, you have to hope it's enough. Yeah, it's a problem. Seafill is getting way ahead. Sunny Waffle might fall here, and it might be a win for Psychosis, and it is. Smolder gets another kill, 2-0-1 on the Smolder. So that's going to feel a little good. You do have some breath of life in this bot side, but you've got to still play Immaculate, and I don't think it's going to matter. Save the Fishes is on his way down. He's probably going to end up getting this kill. There's so much damage at this point with that Heartsteel and all those Heartsteel stacks that he's built up. And yeah, he's just going to get the kill and be able to walk out no problem.
Mundo does indeed go where he pleases this game, and right now where he pleases is to that third Drake. It is Hextech Soul, and I think Smolder is a very slippery champion, but he's quite a bit less slippery when he's constantly being slowed by those electric bolts that come out, and those things have some pretty long range, so Psycho is going to have to play incredibly carefully on that Smolder if he wants to stay alive.
Yeah, Psychosis is trying to get towards his top side, maybe trying to get one advantage if they can, but it doesn't even matter. Reborn should fall. Nope, he's able to barely get away. Chicken Thuggy trying to catch her. Dust Legends with the rest of his team in tow. I think they are going to, yeah, they're just going to back off and go ahead and grab that objective. And so now we're looking at 4 objectives to the side of BBC. Not a single one for the side of Psychosis, not even a tower. So if you're on the side of BBC, you are really riding on this wave of confidence that you built for yourself. And I think if you're on the side of Psychosis, you really have to go back to the drawing board and realize, hey, we need to focus on what we know, how we know we can win. And at this point, it's only looking like the bot lane for your team. And that just becomes really hard to do, right? You don't really have the champions that can keep Psycho up long enough for his damage to really make a difference.
Yeah, Zaheen is definitely going to try to survive as long as he can, but man, there's just so much lockdown on the side of BBC right now. They're just walking into the enemy jungle and taking whatever they want. Absolutely no farm at this point for the Zaheen. Down by 50 CS, halfway to a Flame Horizon. It just does not look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Your solo lanes, your jungler, are all ahead. Even your bot lane is, you're lightly behind the board, but it's not really anything that's going to make much of a difference. Aznatil, rightfully so, goes ahead and consumes the Herald to prevent any more damage in the event that the tower falls, but should be able to wave clear that pretty well.
And even without that turret falling, that's like full 10k gold lead at 17, almost 18 minutes, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, no, this game's I don't want to be that guy, but this game's over. I think if you're on the side of Psychosis, you have to really start game planning, your draft and game plan for game 2. You have to really recognize the problems that were, the issues that you had in this early game. I think Dusk Legends blowing his flash and then playing up so far was a mistake. It just allows for the Mundo to kind of do whatever he wants. Not having control of your bot side jungle was a problem because Save the Fishes was able to just take camps and kill Virgil without any problems. So Yeah, you just have to really focus on what you recognize as the problem in this first game and just kind of move on from it moving forward.
For sure. And you know it's incredibly rough when your jungler, your mid, and your ADC are all the same level. That is not something that you really want to see from this game. Your mid laner should be, your mid lane and jungle should be around 1 to 2 levels up on your ADC, but Psycho getting a little bit of solo time because Reborn has to go and help other lanes. Zaheen just constantly dying on repeat. The mid lane dying on repeat just makes it so difficult to get that XP.
Yeah, what I would like to see is some kind of play from the side of Psychosis. You know, some kind of outplay. Maybe that you wait until BBC overextends. Maybe you get a good TP play. Try to get behind them in some capacity. Maybe kill C-Fill quickly, and that allows your team to kind of take advantage of it. But actually, right now, okay, we've got BBC trying to dive onto the bot side, but we've got some response coming from the side of Psychosis. Azatil is here. He went ahead and TP'd. This might be their chance. He's on C-Fill and eats him, so C-Fill does fall. The prophecy is being fulfilled. Azatil going ahead and chasing down Sunny Waffle. Hops onto him immediately, tries to get him down, but the Sunny Waffle going to get shielded by the Karma, does get out of there, but in response, Emerald Loser is already in the backline and doing damage on his own. And it's absolute disaster for the side of Psychosis. What started out as a great fight, a great turnaround, and great outplay by Azatil, TPing down and killing C-Fill, immediately just turns into an absolute bloodbath for the side of Psychosis. And it looks like BBC may be able to take more than just a tower here and 5 kills. But no, they're just going to go ahead and back and reset.
Man, what a fight. I definitely think Psychosis had a good look there, but unfortunately, Inbred Loser was able to make it to that fight and just turned it completely the other way. If Dusk Legends hadn't gone down so early in that fight, I think maybe they might have had a better chance. He did use the brand ultimate, but not to a whole lot of effect, to be honest. I think if he had been able to use it when they were close to turning that fight, they might have had a better shot. But now they're going to try to contest for this Drake. I don't know how well this goes.
Yeah, this is their Dragon Soul, so if you're on the side of Psychosis, it's do or die. You need to be able to steal this. Let's see if they do it. Watch Burgle, watch that smite. Let's see if he can get in there and take it. Watch him, he's dashing in. Let's see if he can grab it, and he does! He ends up getting the Dragon! It's a steal for the side of Psychosis. They're going to Scald the Soul, and they get a shutdown onto Chicken Thuggy. A great play by Psychosis, showing some life in what looked like an absolutely destroyed game.
And it looked like Save the Fishes either didn't have Smite or smited extremely early on that Drake. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, but man, that's disappointing. You lose your Drake soul at 21 minutes. That means this game goes on for longer, and Cho'Gath and Smolder both have the opportunity to scale up to become that threat that they need to be. And if you're the side of BBC, you're a little bit worried. I think you really need to lock in here and finish this game.
You do. I think you need to really recognize what you have to do to end the game. And I feel like that has to be Baron, right?
Yeah, they're definitely starting to set up for it. They've correctly identified that they lost one objective, but there is another one up on the map, and they need to be there, and they need to take full control. And right now they're doing just that.
Yeah, I think the way that they do it is they really have to wait and see how BBC pressures Baron. What I would imagine they're going to do is, of course, 5 stacking, given how strong they are. And presumably so, you're going to want to see Psychosis send Aznatil on a flanking pattern. If you're BBC, I think the call is as soon as you see Aznatil, you just turn and burn that guy. You cannot let him near this Baron. He will consume it and has a high likelihood of actually stealing it away. So let's see what they actually plan on doing. We do see BBC going over to this Baron. Let's see if Azatil does have the flank route planned out.
It doesn't look like they... It looks like they're just now finding out.
Yeah, they're just going to turn and burn him. That's what they should do. They really just need to make sure that Azatil dies so that he can't keep on the Baron. Meanwhile, you do have Virgil trying to get a 5-man ultimate, but he's just going to fall soon thereafter. His fate will be the same as Azatil. Dust Legends is trying to get away, trying to stun the Mundo, but how do you stun the Mundo when he's so powerful? It doesn't even matter. Save the Fish is going to let him live. It's not his concern anymore. He's going to turn back towards the Baron. He uses the Smite just to eliminate any risk of his heal.
I was a little worried about the split at the start of that fight because Mundo just kind of walked down and started engaging into 4 people while the rest of his team was burning down Zaheen and Cho'Gath. And man, he just did not take any damage. I mean, what are you supposed to do as Dusk Legends and Psycho when you just cannot? You have no heal cut on either of them. You have no way to kind of break this Mundo that has 3.5 items now. You have to fight as a 5-man unit, and they just are not capable of doing that right now, given how these team fights are going.
Yeah, something should be said about the fact that BBC is, nearly 10k gold, or more than 10k gold ahead. They're 13k gold ahead at this point. And what we want to see when you have a gold lead of that size and magnitude, you got to be able to end games, right? It's too often in this league where teams will have rather large leads, but they just don't know what to do with them, and it gives the other team so much time to actually come back into the game, especially when they have scaling champions like Smolder. That's the last thing you want. What I want to see from BBC right now is an absolute shellacking in this mid lane. I want to see them run him down on tower. Save the Fishes is strong enough to be able to do what he wants, and I want to see them actually end the game when they have the lead they have.
And Save the Fishes is just going to go forward.
Yeah, they have the power to do this. I feel like they should be pressing this kind of advantage more so than they already are. We do have Inbred Loser pushing the top side, so it is going to pull off some members of Psychosis trying to answer him, mostly Azatil. Meanwhile, Save the Fishes is going to try to run down Burgle, who just has to flash away in order to barely live. The Inbred Loser does dash back in to try to help his friends over here in the mid lane. They do end up getting the tier 2 tower. Let's see if they get the inhibitor as well.
Looks like they will indeed get that inhibitor and rotate to that top side, but man, what a good look from Seafill finding the ultimate onto Psycho. Just makes this tower defense almost impossible, but Azatil maybe have the angle. Does not quite manage to pile onto Sunny Waffle as quickly as I had hoped, but yeah, it just... Psycho lost almost all of his health in one Orion ultimate. That is almost unplayable at this point.
Yeah, and they're 15k gold up. I feel like they just need to reset, group, go bottom, end the game. Like, I really don't like this idea of kind of sitting around. Yeah, I get it, you want to get soul, but it's really not necessary when you have 15k gold above your opponents. You should have the ability to just end the game, and the longer you kind of let it go on, the more chances you're giving to the opposing team. They do get soul, and it is Hextech soul, so that is a lot of strength. We're just going to have to see if they use it correctly, and they're able to push down this bot side and end the game.
Yeah, Azatil looking to get whatever he can on that top side. Does manage to get this top turret, but will he get out with his life is the question. Looks like the rest of BBC are just going to take the Hex Gates and run it all the way down to bottom lane. Try to shove that in as quickly as possible while Inbred Loser gets the top side. And if you're the side of Psychosis, you should just start thinking about the next game. There is not really a good way to defend it at this point. Smolder does have 225 stacks. He did hit the required benchmark, but unfortunately at this point in the game,
you got to make this play your final play. I think you've got to use everything you have and try to get onto the backline carries. Save the Fishes is taking a lot of damage. Let's see what they can do here. He does have to back off, pops out immediately, but Sunny Waffle is really low and ends up falling to Azatil, who also kills Chicken Thuggy. Okay, there's a shutdown going to Psycho. Psycho, let's see what he can do. If he gets another kill onto the Mundo, that is a lot of gold onto Psycho's Smolder. And what the hell is happening? Psychosis turning it around.
Wow, that was an amazing play, and I may have slightly caster cursed BBC there, because my goodness, Psychosis correctly identified that Inbred Loser was nowhere near, and they just sent it. They sent it on the Mundo. They fought front to back, and Psycho got 2 massive shutdowns. Zaheen got the 3rd one, I think, and they are starting to, even without the Dragon Soul, they're starting to look. There's a little bit of life here.
There's some life. If they can play through Psycho on this Smolder, right, and get some picks onto the backline, they don't really have the damage to be able to kill the members of Psychosis the longer these fights draw out. And this is kind of what I'm getting at. You're giving these teams too much time to be able to scale back into the game. You're giving them too many opportunities to actually come back. And, you know, we're getting into a scenario where if there's another one of these kind of fights that go the way of Psychosis and they're able to even possibly, you know, keep BBC from taking Baron by chance, the game even goes longer, and now Smolder's in a winning position.
Yeah, Chicken Thuggy just getting caught out right at the beginning of the fight. Let's go down.
He falls. Okay, so that's your main source of the defense on your backline carries. It's already dead. Dust Legends and the rest of Psychosis runs into the healing power of the Redemption, placed there by Reborn. Reborn looking to keep up Dusk Legends as best as he can. There's a lot of damage still on the field and a lot of ultimates available from both sides. Let's see what happens here. Azatil trying to get a knock-up on one of the members of BBC, but Seafill playing correctly, has his ball out. Watch the ball placement. Let's see if he can get a nasty 3-man ultimate, but it looks like Psycho on this Smolder is picking them, or, you know, forcing them off, and they've got them off of the Baron pit in a 5v4 situation. That's a great look, but what happens is that now your mid lane is pushing and you've got to send one person back. It looks like Dust Legends is electing to do so. Meanwhile, BBC still on the Baron, trying to get it in the temporary absence of the Psychosis mid laner. Let's see what Virgil can do and if he can possibly steal it with Azatil on this Cho'Gath.
Yeah, they're just going to have to pull off. I mean, you are kind of in a rough position. Chicken Thuggies is on the way back out, but you cannot fight as a full 5-man right now. Inbred Loser also took a lot of damage in that early team fight. Did pop the Sterox gauge, so he does not have that right now. He won't.
They're going to catch Chicken Thuggy again. They're going to catch him again. Oh my god, and Baron's still up. Watch Virgil. Virgil is still alive. He's healing like no one's business. And that's it for Inbred Loser. BBC has lost both Chicken Thuggy and Inbred Loser, and everyone's low, including Save the Fishes and Seafill and Sunny Waffle. And there's a triple kill for Psycho on this shoulder. And by god, they've done it. They're going to the Baron and completely turn this game around.
3 dead for the side of BBC, and they still have a 7k gold lead at this point, by the way. That's gonna shrink as this Baron does go down. But what, you know, you were saying it earlier. You were saying it earlier. Teams have this big gold lead and they just do not know how to close out games, and it's coming back to bite BBC.
I'm telling you, it's a problem in this league. A lot of teams are guilty of it. I know that Momentum, the team that I, founded for a while, that we had that problem too, and it was the main thing that we had to bite in the ass early on, because we found that we were winning all the early games. We would get these leads, but we didn't know how to close out games, and on our scrims, we were just getting absolutely blasted. Every time past 25 minutes, and it looks like this is what's happening to BBC. They don't have the champions that you need to be able to actually win this late game, and now we've got a situation where you're going to have massive outscaling on the side of Psychosis, and I'm telling you, this gold lead is nothing now. 4K is nothing when you've got a Smolder, a Brand, a Cho'Gath, a Zaheen. All these champions scale very well into the late game, and I'm telling you, if they don't win this fight, it's going to be a Psychosis win as long as they can keep it together.
And man, Psychosis has so much standing gold on the map right now. All the tier 2 turrets, one tier 3 in the mid lane. There's so much standing gold, and Sunny Waffles might be caught. Ooh, but Dusk Legends.
Dusk Legends has his ultimate, and it does a ton of damage in return. Look at that. Everyone absolutely melts. That's a double kill for Dusk Legends. Meanwhile, Azatil is able to move forward and instantly eat, I believe he ate Sunny Waffle. I could be wrong, right? But Save the Fish is taking a lot of damage in his own. He needs to be careful. If he just sticks around that tower, they're going to get both the tower and him. Seafill, let's see if he can get barely out of it. He does. Only with like a quarter of his health left, and they're moving towards this dragon. That's going to be Elder Dragon to the side of Psychosis.
And at this point, it's feeling like such a good idea to let BBC get that Drake Soul, because that means you get the Elder Drake right when your power spike really happens. And Psychosis making some insane moves here. I'm really surprised. They flipped the game completely on its head. We're almost back to an even gold state. They got the Elder Drake, and they're just gonna run it down mid.
It's even with all the standing gold they have on the board, combined with the fact of all the scaling they have. Smolder is absolutely going to tear up these team fights. Combined with Deathsledge, Deathsledge drops an ultimate on 2 people. Those 2 people are going to die. And, you know, this is a great look for Psychosis. Pardon me for saying the game was over so early on.
Yeah.
I am glad that I did partly call that they could turn around if BBC did not end the game. But man, Psychosis with some vigor, right? Some real what's the word I'm looking for? Some you know, just ability to turn around in the face of adversity, and they're really showing why they belong in this league. Take it to BBC in game 1. It's a great look.
Yeah, it's gonna make for some really exciting. I cannot wait for game 2 because my goodness, this has been a banger, and BBC. They've got to do some thinking now. They need to think about how they win this game. Because right now, Psychosis is just playing as a 5-man unit, which is exactly what they need to do. And if you can't pick off this one person on this 5-man unit, one important person, team fights are really hard to win right now.
Yeah, you've got to do basically. It's very simple. Seafill has to ball onto the Renekton or the Mundo. Mundo or the Renekton needs to get on top of Psycho. You ult as Orianna, and that's how you kill him, right? You kill Psycho on this Smolder. You have a chance of winning the game, assuming that Death Legend's ultimate isn't just tearing your team apart because you're all grouped up. So you have to come at fights at very odd angles to where Dusk Legend's ultimate isn't going to multi-bounce on your team comp, but you still have to be playing close enough so that Seafill can get the ball from Orianna onto one of your tank frontliners.
And I also want to point out that the XP is shifted as well. The only person who's still ahead is Save the Fishes. Level 18 on that Mundo to the 17 on Zaheen. Psycho is up 2 full levels on Sunny Waffle. Reborn is up a level on Chicken Thuggy, and Azatil is up a level on Inbred Loser. That's a lot of additional gold that isn't necessarily being shown in the stat line that these teams need to figure out how to play around, because Seafill maybe wandering a little close there, but just to finish that point, like there is some extra gold on, like, Psycho has done a great job of just, you know, getting as much farm as possible, getting as much XP solo as possible, and really kind of pushing that that advantage as much as possible.
Yeah, no, it's a good look. As until, you know, hats off to him for coming back from such a bad deficit. I think I remember him being down 2 levels at one point. Now to have a level advantage on Red Loser is a great look. Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thuggy need to be very careful. They're taking a ton of damage here. Psycho is completely safe in the backline next to Reborn. Meanwhile, Death Legends and Burgle trying to run down, Save the Fishes. He's got a lot of health. He's got his ultimate. He's got the CC reduction. So he's going to be able to run out of there, no problem. But Chicken Thuggy and Sunny Waffle need to get out of there. If they stay close at all, even Reborn looks like he can kill them. Wow. They're winning on all fronts. The only advantage that BBC really has right now is, you know, they've got the pushing waves just by virtue of having more towers, but that's about to fall too. They've only got 2 towers advantage, really. 3, I guess, in the middle, you know, tier 2 in the mid lane. But, yeah, this game's looking really, really even, and we're going to have to see how this Baron fight goes. I still think that BBC has the necessary tools to win this game. They just have to play correctly around Save the Fishes and Seafill. If they can do that, if Sunny Waffle can stay out of harm's way long enough in these fights, then they do have the ability to win the team fights rather handedly. But Psycho and Death Legends are just kind of playing out of their mind right now. We're trying to see what happens. Death Legends is in a bad spot.
Oh, I think you caster cursed him. I think you caster cursed him, because he is now no longer playing at all for the next 50 seconds. And it looks like BBC is going to be able to take this Baron, but it looks like the call from Psychosis is to just rush down the mid lane and try to get the inhibitor turret as quickly as possible. Does not seem like they're going to be able to do that, though, so they are just going to full reset and look for that Drake, that Elder Dragon, coming up in a minute.
That's right. Yeah, it won't be a momentum special, but it will be, you know, you'd have to have the Elder up for the momentum special they pulled off. But, yeah, rightfully so. They do push down the mid lane, and try to get something going, but you know, they just kind of make that call and that commitment a little bit too late, so they're not able to actually get a tower for it. So at the end of the day, BBC does get the Baron, and that's a win for the side. That's the win for their team. Still 3k gold up. Still have Dragon Soul. I think at this point you are playing for that Elder, and you're playing for some kind of final fight, right? Get the Elder, win a team fight, end the game. That's how you actually close this one out. So I would imagine that the last fight of this match, of this game 1, will be around this Elder. Whether win or lose, I do think that the side of Psychosis has the advantage just by virtue of Aznatil having that ultimate, you know, combined with Smite on Burgle. You do have the ability to take objectives rather easily. So we're going to have to wait and see how they position around this.
Yeah, for sure. I think something that I was going to mention in the previous fight is right now BBC needs to find one member and pick them off. They did that exactly with Dusk Legend, and that netted them the Baron. So let's see if they're able to do it again, and it nets them the Elder.
Yeah, watch Seafull save the fishes. It's their job to create some space, along with Inbred Loser. It's really these 3 core members. They've got to create the space so that Sunny Waffle and Chicken Thuggy can kind of do some damage from the back. Psycho takes a lot of damage immediately. Save the fishes. Immediately flashes on the Psycho. If Psycho falls, that's a lot of your Psychosis power that's already taken out. Burgle ults into multiple members. He's going to be resurrecting for the passive, but meanwhile, Save the Fishes is already on his backline to set the fishes, absolutely running him down, and not doing enough damage to keep him off. It looks like BBC's finally found the fight that they've been waiting for, and Dusk Legends and Reborn are the only people that end up actually living out of that. Psychosis does end up losing the fight, and BBC have found the way to win this game. They need to win it right now.
Yeah, Seafill finding the ultimate onto Psycho. Psycho just not respecting the ball position there, and that really was what decided the fight. Save the Fishes was able to flash in, get that, just run straight at him, and once Psycho's dead, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's done and dust. As soon as you get onto Psycho and take him out, that's all of your damage that you've been building up completely gone.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are back with draft for game number 2, and man, after a banger game 1, I cannot wait to see what these teams come out with.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game 1. I feel like, you know, it could have been anyone's game towards the end there. Psychosis obviously starting off very rough, but quickly realizing where their strengths were, playing, you know, making plays when they needed to make them. And it also shows us that, hey, BBC has some kinks in their armor they really need to work on, especially when it comes to this late game. They had a 15k gold lead, so obviously they understand at a high level how to get their advantages that they need earlier. They just need to really execute on those advantages that they get for themselves.
And it does look like we're going to swap sides here. Big Bird Club electing to, or I'm sorry, Psychosis electing to take red side. We are going to get the same bans coming out from both sides, but Zig's going to be the first pickup from BBC.
Yeah, Zig is going over to the side of BBC, which could signal, you know, they're electing to take an AP carry bot lane, but they could obviously pivot over to the mid lane. So a relatively safe pick this early on. It doesn't have too many answers. If you're on the side of Psychosis, I want to see some, you know, pick and choose CC. Oh, well, Sivir's great, right? You can actually out wave clear, or at least match up to the Ziggs wave clear later on in the game. So that allows you to side lane against Ziggs if needed, or just remain in the mid lane against him and prevent Ziggs from getting a lot of tower damage. I wonder what kind of support they're going to pair up with this. I would like to see something that has some hard engage to really prevent Ziggs from being able to get away. They picked the Mel. Now, this could be very good against Ziggs in the 2v2 fight. Obviously, the Reflect works really well against the Ziggs Q, but I'm interested to see if they pivot this towards the mid lane if the matchup is not really that good.
Yeah, some very interesting flexes coming out of both teams. Mel obviously able to be played in AD carry, mid, or support right now. Obviously, with Sivir being picked, that only leaves 2 spots, but it's still an interesting flex. Ziggs, like you also mentioned, able to be played in mid or AP carry. Xerath also mid or support for the current meta. So a lot of flexibility coming out from both teams, and kind of trying to, we'll see who can out mind game the other at this point, because the first person to tip their hand is definitely going to be a little bit rough. Jarvan coming out as the last pick for BBC here.
Yeah, Jarvan's pretty good. I like it into Mel and Sivir. They don't have the ability to actually, escape. Sivir, of course, has the ability to stop the knockup, but doesn't have the ability to actually get out of that Jarvan ultimate. Same thing with Mel. That being said, Mel has a rough time into Xerath in the mid lane. I know that Xerath does win that matchup 9 times out of 10. By virtue of just simply you can outrange Mel pretty easily, and Mel can't really reflect any of his abilities. I guess except for the stun.
Yep.
And so I would imagine that the Mel is going to end up going support. And what would be really interesting is if they put Nefiri mid against Xerath. I imagine they won't. They'll probably put it in the jungle against Jarvan. But I want to see what they play into the Xerath mid. I would love to see, a hyper aggressive counter answer to this. A Fizz would be so fun. It would be so fun to see. It's good against Jarvan. It's good against Ziggs. It's good against Xerath. I feel like if Seafill plays, or sorry, if not Seafill, sorry, if Dusk Legends plays Fizz, which I'm not sure if he does, that would be so awesome to see played here.
Yeah, we don't get to see assassins a lot in competitive play, either at the amateur level, but definitely not often at the pro level. There are very few assassins like Nefiri that get picked on a regular basis. So I definitely would be interested to see some kind of maybe a Fizz come out for the side of Psychosis. Or they could, Big Bird Club could just pivot and put that Xerath in the bot lane as support. I don't know how well Ziggs Xerath does together, but my guess would be it's not the best pairing.
You have a lot of poke, you have a lot of wave clear, so your mid to late game is safe, I would say, because it's just harder for the side of Psychosis to be able to end game off of certain objective takes or off of team fights where only 2 people die. This Janna is picked. Is that exclusively just for the Jarvan initiation? I guess so. It's okay. It's okay with Sivir. You do have a lot of, you provide a lot of shielding to prevent a lot of the damage coming out from Ziggs. Not to mention that Sivir has the spell shield herself to deny a lot of that damage. So I think it is a good combo into the Ziggs. I wonder what they're going to pair it with in that bot side. Yone comes out, which signals that they're playing Yone top. Could this be a crazy like Ziggs Xerath bot lane? And
they baited us a little bit. It ends up being the Gnar coming out. We'll see if they decide to pick it, but
we're gonna know right now. I would assume they're gonna pick a support champion right now into Janna. I'm not sure what they would be. There looks like they want to go for more of like a poke style, comp. So I would imagine maybe Braum. So. Just
okay.
a lot of poking, a lot of disengage. You really are just relying on the Gnar Jarvan engage combo to really do anything towards the if you end up getting a catch. Otherwise, you're really just poking down the side of Psychosis before you start any objective take.
Yeah, and my only concern here would be with the Jarvan. Doesn't really fit with that poke comp, but Malphite, such a great answer.
Swap lanes out, make this a little bit better. The lane state's a little bit better, and kind of chose not to do that. And obviously, people have their champion limits; they don't play everything, so it's not like we expect that entirely. But Mel is going to have a rough time against Xerath, bar none. And I'm just curious to see if Save the Fishes plays into that lane correctly.
We are having a small technical issue. It looks like the spectator client has frozen. I'm not sure if the game is paused. Nope, there we go. Okay.
Oh, it's good. It was on my end as well. So I don't think that was a streaming. That's definitely a spectator bug.
I think it may possibly have been catching up to the delay that we had a little bit earlier, but all good now. We are seeing the start of this lane, and one of the big things that I'm really interested in is how much turret damage Sunny Waffle can actually get off into the Sivir. Both champions really good at wave clear. Sivir a little bit better than Sunny Waffle's Ziggs, but it's going to be so hard for Ziggs to actually touch any of these turrets, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. I don't think that Ziggs is going to be able to touch the turrets, especially once Psycho gets, one item even. It's going to be really hard. And it kind of kills the entire point of having that Ziggs bot lane, having that, wave clearing, power that allows you to get those early plates. The only AD carry that really can answer it effectively, you gave it to the side of BBC, so I feel like, or sorry, to the side of Psychosis. So I feel like BBC should have done their homework and banned out the Sivir. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely seeing some odd bans, I guess, come out from the side of if you're really planning on picking that Ziggs and you first picked it, so you definitely feel like you want to, you should absolutely, like you said, have banned the Sivir, done your homework there, and especially late game, it's going to be really hard for Ziggs to touch any of these turrets.
I just realized that I made like a critical error earlier in our shoutcasting. I don't know why. In Champ Select, I realized this, but when we were just talking about the game right now, I was just completely saying that BBC had elected the the Mel. That's Psychosis. My bad. Psychosis, in my opinion, has the sin counter. Psychosis should not have picked Mel into C-Phil's Xerath. C-Phil is going to have a very fun time in this lane, especially with State of Fishes. So I just want to correct that mistake that I made. BBC, in my opinion, has the better team comp this game. It is going to be very rough for Psychosis to do much. But that being said, we do have an early team fight going on. Let's see what happens.
Looks like not a whole lot of action, even though you get roams from the mid, so it's a straight up 4v4. Nobody going down there, which I think benefits BBC a little bit more. Psycho is going to need to back because Sivir very early on is extremely mana thirsty.
Yeah, extremely mana thirsty, especially if you're just spamming your W over and over and over again. It does allow you to push this wave, but Sunny Waffle already TP back in. Does have the did he actually end up buying the Dark Seal, or did he already have? Did he buy the tier?
I think he bought the
tier and.
I think he bought the tier and the Dark Seal. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's an interesting choice from the side of Sunny Waffle. I guess just trying to get the most out of that last mana pot that he can.
You gotta be careful. Yeah, see, I feel like if Dusk Legends was level 6, Seafield just dies there. So that was a very good play by Dusk Legends, winning a 1v1 in a lane really where Seafield does have the advantage. So pretty interesting for Dusk Legends to have the advantage this early on, and already is up 6 farm.
Yeah, I would say that as somebody who plays against Xerath pretty often, if I see a Xerath, most of the time they just sit back and farm. And that's really what I want to see Seafield doing this game. I think that Dusk Legends, all of the kind of the pressure is on him to make something happen in this lane. And Seafield really has to mess up, basically. He's the one that has to make the mistake, and Dusk Legends has to be able to capitalize on it. And yeah, it's so easy as Xerath not to. You can just sit back and press Q.
Yeah, if you just manage your mana fairly well, and you use your Qs effectively, when you really want to wait for Dusk Legends to stop to auto attack. That's when you want to release that Q. It's going to guarantee that you land it every single time. If he just plays correctly with Save the Fishes, it's going to be kill after kill onto Dusk Legends. But Dusk Legends is doing a pretty good job so far. They've got playing towards his vision, playing towards the wave state as he should, to ensure that he doesn't get ganked in a bad position. Seafield is getting a little bit of the upper hand right now. Does land some good damage there, but it's not going to really amount to much, and Dusk Legends should be able to take that full wave. Meanwhile, on the top side, Azatil taking some damage, ends up getting bonked into the wall and stunned. But there's more action going on the bot side. Save the Fishes looking to turn around at bottom gank. Sunny Waffle trying to get some damage onto Burgle. Burgle is going to get knocked. No, he's not going to get knocked up. It ends up going into the defensive ball to end up getting out of the damage, but Psycho has to flash over the wall. Xerath ultimate ends up running out of charges, and it looks like no one's going to die on either side. A complete stalemate.
We've had 2 plays in the exact same position, both with the exact same results. Good flash coming out from Inbred Loser to dodge the Malphite ultimate there, and it is looking a little bit rough in this top lane. Inbred Loser seems to be getting the better of most of these matchups.
Yeah, Inbred, playing on this champion, I think that he will have the upper hand. Nard does usually beat Malphite in these early levels until Malphite can get some more armor items. It's pretty rough until then. Psycho has to barely get out of there, but it doesn't even matter. Reborn ends up getting knocked up, and that's first blood for Sunny Waffle.
We do get a response kill from Dusk Legends onto Seafield in the mid lane, and that is not one that I expected. I really thought that, like I was saying earlier, it's on Xerath to mess up, and he blew his flash as well. That is absolutely his his mess up.
Yeah, that's god awful. I'm gonna say it how it is. Dusk Legends should not win that matchup. That is a hard matchup for Mel to win. The fact that you win that matchup as Dusk Legends, hats off to him. I feel like everyone should, you know, really give your praise over to Dusk Legends on Psychosis. Winning that matchup is not easy. Getting the first blood in a 1v1, you know, without anyone helping is just incredible. And so, really excited to see what they can do with this small lead, or well, the small lead that they've amassed in mid. BBC does have the overall lead with a slight gold lead. I think it's right now it's just curving up to 1,000 gold. That should be closed off relatively soon once these waves are cleared. Yeah, just a great play by Dusk Legends. I want to see what he can do with this.
And it's going to be really interesting to see, because we definitely talked about the mid-jungle synergy for the side of BBC. But I'd really like to see Jarvan show up. Dusk Legends does not have flash right now, and that could turn the lane right back around. It would make it very difficult for him to actually play into the Xerath with all that range, and then Jarvan just kind of ulting in over the top, making sure that you have to stand in one position while Xerath ults you over and over. Just be very, very difficult for Dusk Legends to escape.
Yeah, out of all the lanes in the game, as Jarvan, I would really only be looking mid and top. Bot lane seems really cursed, although they got a kill down there, right? Like, obviously they made a good play and ended up killing Reborn. That's still a hard lane to gank. Spell Shield and Tornado is really hard to gank against, whereas in the mid lane, you know, ganking Mel is relatively easy, and you've got a top laner who has absolutely no mobile abilities besides a speed increase from his Q. You know, and he doesn't have any, you know, the armor items that he really needs to be just this walking wall. So I feel like a missed opportunity from Say the Fishes really to get some early kills in the mid and top lane. He'd spent some time in the bot side, which obviously ended up being fine because he got the kill. But, you know, Seafill is falling behind. It's a lane that you really don't want to fall behind. Xerath going into the mid and late game with no items and no gold feels really bad.
Yeah, down about a wave and a half here on Mel, who has that Blackfire Torch now, and any abilities that Mel lands at this point, it's just going to be so difficult. You're going to take so much poke as that Xerath. And honestly, I think that Dusk Legends is the main bright spot for the side of Psychosis right now. Psycho obviously going to be able to just kind of farm very nicely, scale up, but there's that Jarvan ultimate we were talking about. Dusk Legends is in a bit of trouble.
In a bit of trouble, but oh, Seafill had to cancel his ultimate, or did he already land all the charges? It looks like he had to cancel it almost immediately. Dusk Legends able to barely survive long enough to force Save the Fishes out of that fight. And yeah, it might be a little too late for ganking to be had onto the mid lane. Dusk Legends might just be a little bit too healthy. Has the items and the damage to be able to propel those. Meanwhile, on the top side, Inbred Loser's trying to get something onto Asnat. I don't think he's going to. He's going to just make, you know, kick him off the wave. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Dusk Legends is a bright spot for the side of Psychosis, which is great to see that they're cleaning up this early game. Check it, Thuggy out of position. Let's see if they can do anything about this, but he's going to just flash out of there, get to safety that way. Yeah, I mean, Psychosis showing a lot stronger early game than we saw out of them last time. That being said, they are still behind 1,000 gold, which has been pretty stationary for the past 3 minutes or so.
And Psychosis does have the early Drake, and it is that Infernal, which is going to give them a little bit more damage, so kind of nice to see. Definitely something you want onto the Mel, onto the Sivir. So I'm very curious to see how they utilize, even though they're down about 1,000 gold, mostly from turret plating on the top side and that first blood. But I'm curious to see if they're able to stack the dragons a little bit better. As Psycho needs some fancy feet, does walk away from the Janna ultimate and just dies to Seafill.
Yeah, Seafill, good ultimate placement. That's what you want to see out of your Xerath, making sure that you always land those last shots when they really matter. Ends up netting him a kill, so going to pretty much nullify some of that lead that Dusk Legends has built up. Meanwhile, on the top side, Inbred Loser not understanding this matchup that well and takes too much damage from the tower and from the Malphite, and ends up falling. And hey, Psychosis evens it up 2-2.
Yeah, I think we all can appreciate just how oppressive Mel can be.
Sequel's gonna get this kill if he lands his Q.
Oh,
Oh, got him.
Misses the E, but does manage to land the Q onto C-Phil, and it's looking a little rough. Trading flash for flash and dying is not what you want to see from your mid laner who's going up.
Yeah, it's really tough. C-Phil might have to be careful here. Burgle does have his ultimate. He has got the ability to actually get on top of him and kill him. Or no, he doesn't have his ultimate, but he does get the kill anyways. Meanwhile, Chicken Thuggy trying to do what he can to get him off of the lane, or off the wave. And Burgle just going to go back to farming. So a great play, a great response play by the side of Psychosis to get a kill in that mid lane. 1-0 Burgle, but yeah, Death Legends falling there really shows the power that C-Phil is going to have on this champion.
Yeah, C-Phil definitely having two early, or I guess two mid-game kills is going to kind of boost his gold income a little bit from what it was. Still down in CS a little bit, but I think at this point it's going to matter a little bit less. Xerath with that first item, you can really affect fights on both sides of the map from pretty safe positions, and that's kind of what Xerath is known for doing. Just playing that insane range.
Your ultimate, you just roam into that bot or top lane whenever your top lane or bot lane calls for you. You just do a ton of damage with your ultimate, assuming that you land, 3 out of the 4 charges. That's a lot of damage. I think it's close to like 600 damage if you only land 3 of them.
Yeah, definitely going to be difficult. And one of the things that I personally get annoyed at in my solo queue teammates for is you should not be dying to Xerath ulti. But it does happen from time to time, and you need to deal with it. And we'll see how BBC chooses to do that, or excuse me, Psychosis chooses to do that. Is Inbred Loser is going on to Asentil again.
Yeah, he's trying the exact same play that he tried last time, but he's got to be really careful. If he takes like 1 or 2 tower shots, Asentil does have some damage in his kit. He can respond in turn. Save the Fishes ended up going to the Dragon, so they're going to end up taking that and going 1-to-1 in the Dragon stacking. So going to be a delayed soul, which, it indicates another late game. Last game, 40 minutes. I think it was even 42 minutes total. I wonder if we're going to get another long-winded one, but...
Inbred Loser might be in trouble here.
Yeah, Inbred Loser's going to just die here. Burgle ends up getting the kill. That's who you want the kills going on to, is this...
this Nefiri, yeah.
Nefiri. Yeah, 2-0. Burgle's really showing some finesse on this champion. Looks like he's at the right place at the right time, ends up getting that kill. Asentil is going to be loving that, especially because now he's actually building up a farm lead. Last game really was suffering for the majority of the game until he got really to like 30 minutes when he finally started turning it around. This time around, though, that's not the case.
Yeah, definitely interested to see. He does have that first armor item now, and I think it's going to be so much more difficult for Gnar to be able to do anything into this lane. Gnar really wanting that early pressure, but speaking of early pressure, Dusk Legends might be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, might be in a bit of trouble. Save the Fishes is holding his abilities, waiting for Dusk Legends to do something, possibly already used his Reflect, but he's just going to snare and walk away. Asentil is on the top side. It looks like Burgle is wrapping around, trying to see what he can do. Probably just going to end up taking the ward as a consolation prize. Let's see if they actually go onto the Herald. That'd be very interesting. You've already got Chicken Thuggy roaming up, so... the side of BBC has already made the call that they want to have some multiple members on this top side. Burgle, I don't think is understood the amount of members that are going this way and has to go over the wall. Meanwhile, the Xerath ultimate's going to go over the top, but it might get canceled by Dusk Legends on this Mel, who is going to ult onto C-Phil. Almost kills him. He's only got 3 bars. Asentil, I think, has ultimate, and he does end up getting the kill onto C-Phil, but he himself is, Inbred Loser is also low, has to back off, save the Fishes in the back line of the entire Psychosis team. Has to get out of there by flashing, and at the end of the day, a lot of low health bars, but not a lot of kills. It's a 1-for-1, both mid laners falling. Wait, they might not be done here. Burgle looking like he wants to go back in and try to take this objective, but Chicken Thuggy is doing a good job of warding and keeping him off. Inbred Loser trying to see what he can do. He does have the Gnar. Does he have the ability to get the stun onto Burgle? We'll have to wait and see. He is spotted out, and Sunny Waffle with a nice snipe. That's going to absolutely confirm Harold to the side of BBC. A great play by Sunny Waffle there to keep Burgle from getting back into the pit.
And in the middle of all of that, Psycho's just been getting turret plates on the bottom side, is going to be getting a lot of gold himself, but not quite as much as the gold from those Ziggs kills. Dusk Legends is looking for a return kill on Sunny Waffle, though. Good movement.
Yeah, and he should be able to get this. He should be able to get this if he lands on the Q.
There we go.
Flash. Oh, he gets it with the ultimate. Damn.
I think he was trying not to use that ultimate there, trying to hold it for a little bit later team fight, but does manage to finally secure that kill. I don't think he does get Sunny Waffle's flash, which definitely going to feel bad for that Ziggs, but
yeah, nothing's going to end up coming of Matt Sablefish. Just tries to come over and help out Chicken Thuggy, but Chicken Thuggy was okay. He had it handled by himself.
Reborn some fancy feet on the Janna with that extra movement speed from her passive.
Yeah, a bit of a wasted ult there in my opinion. I don't think he should have used it in that exact position, but
and what
just wants to get. Go ahead.
One thing I was going to point out a little bit earlier in that team fight, I think it's twice now I've seen Dusk Legends ult on the Mel a little too early, not able to net any of those kills, and I'm not quite sure if it's just trying to estimate without looking, because her ultimate ability, ooh, speaking of ultimates, Inbred Loser dies to the Malphite ulti.
Yeah, Azatil is really starting to become a problem. He's got the items that he needs to survive the poke from the Gnar, and now it is going to be his lane to win. To answer your question about Dusk Legends on the Mel ulting too early, I think he's scared that his stacks will fall off from his passive, and so he just ults knowing that, you know, he's going to get a little bit more damage down. You know, in the case of the fight around Herald, it actually did end up mattering because Azatil was able to ult in and get the securing kill. But meanwhile, on the bot side, Dusk Legends has to flash out, ends up getting killed by BBC. Save the Fishes ulting on top of him. He had to flash out of there to survive from the ultimate Sunny Waffles. And this is going to be Dragon going to the side of BBC. No contest from Psychosis.
Yeah, we do see about a 1k gold, about an 800 gold lead from the side of Psychosis. I think that's going to even out a little bit once the second Drake comes. And Wind Soul, or Cloud Soul, excuse me, is not really what you want to see for the side of BBC, I think. The only person that really benefits from that is maybe Gnar and Jarvan. But of course, Xerath and Ziggs, and maybe a little bit Braum, don't really care for it. However, on the side of Psychosis, that is really good. Psycho is going to be able to use that really well. Nefiri and Malphite are both going to love that Cloud Soul, so definitely interested to see who picks up that Cloud Soul.
Yeah, I think if you're BBC, you really want it just by virtue of wanting to deny it from the side of Psychosis, right? On the other hand, Psychosis obviously wants it because so many of the champions benefit from it. It would be really, really strong, I agree with you, on Psycho and Burgle. Malphite, you know, neither here nor there. It is pretty good that you can ult in and get out if needed. Quite completely, you can run down the carries in the backline pretty easily. But yeah, on Psycho, it is absolutely very, very strong. Dusk Legends gets ulted. He is going to probably fall here with a lot of damage coming out from the side of BBC, but he just gets shielded for a very long time. Survives a lot longer than we thought he would. Azatil has to flash forward, and he's taking a lot of damage as well. And should fall here soon thereafter. That's 2 kills from the side of BBC. Meanwhile, Reborn, fancy feet like he had earlier, but it's not going to matter. Both of them end up falling to the side of BBC, and that's 4 for nothing. Psycho, the only person that stays alive, does end up getting a tower for his trouble, but BBC is getting 4 kills in a tower. I would take that trade any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, at 20 minutes, it was dead even in gold, and now BBC is up. Let's see if they can press this advantage. There is a Baron on the map. They need to start setting up for it, I think.
Yeah, you know, BBC is in a good position. That being said, Psychosis in a much better spot than they were last game. At this point, I think they were, at 21 minutes, like 13k gold behind. So the fact they've they're only 3K gold. Hey, that's manageable. That's a lot better. And in my opinion, your team has some great scaling going into the late game. So I feel like if you can actually make this game last just as long as last game, you'll have an even better, what is it? Chances of winning the game later on, especially at those objectives when it really matters. Once you get items onto the Mel, onto the Neferi, and onto the Sivir, they do use that. BBC ends up using the Herald bot side, so they should take the tower, and they do Sun and Whipple. Very adept at taking those towers on that Ziggs champion.
Yep, that is kind of the Ziggs special. The only two champions that can really match him in turret taking power, I would say, are probably either Tristana or Graves. Both also very well known for their turret taking abilities. Reborn is in the wrong place.
Oh, that's Flash. Actually.
So many ultimates coming out from the side of BBC to finish off that kill, but Reborn definitely in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now some of his other laners may suffer for it. Psycho has the flash.
Psycho's gonna fall too. That just seems like a lack of vision and kind of playing a little bit outside of where you should be by the side of Psychosis is gonna end up costing them dearly. 2 kills going over to the side of BBC. Sunny Waffle doing some huge damage with his ultimate in combo with Seafill. That is a really dangerous combo, right? So Seafill ults first and kind of corrals people into a pocket using his ultimate, and that allows Sunny Waffle to pretty much land a perfect ultimate almost every time. And now Dusk Legends falls, and that's 3 kills in a row off of basically a lack of vision near this mid lane, and it just seems like mistake after mistake after mistake for the side of Psychosis. It's hard to watch. I wish they play a little bit safer, being that you're down 1 game in this series. This is do or die for the set. Really should be playing off vision and playing as a cohesive unit. It just seems like they're a little bit out of sync.
Yeah, definitely trying to make some good moves on the Gnar. The only question mark in my mind right now is you've got a pretty big Malphite. And if you start playing around him, it's going to be very difficult for both the Ziggs and the Xerath to really do a whole lot of damage. Both not really known for more than extended DPS. Their burst is pretty decent, but you're not really going to be able to burst a Malphite that's building just a crap ton of magic resist items. And so who's really responsible for killing him? Azentil could create a lot of space on that front line, and they really have to use some of their range and their ability to jump on the back line to really win out these fights, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Azentil is going to be the difference maker in this later game, especially once he gets 2 or 3 fully completed MR items. Then he's going to be really unkillable. I mean, how do you kill him with Save the Fishes and Inbred? I mean, you just don't have the damage to be able to work through his entire health bar. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. That being said, we do have a
We're about to find out.
Save the Fishes ends up again. Yeah, Reborn able to ult. Save the Fishes into the wall, but falls sooner thereafter by Seafill. Inbred Loser able to get an ultimate on Azentil backwards, but he ends up getting caught by Save the Fishes, and that's a second kill to the side of BBC and a great team fight for them. They're going to end up getting some plates out of this and along with securing that dragon. And yeah, just a rough team fight for the side of Psychosis. It looked like they were really, really out of sync in what they wanted to do there. If they wanted to take the dragon, I feel like they should have been prepping that a lot earlier, but they kind of just ran over there, once it was already taken. And yeah, they just get picked off one by one because of it.
I think it was definitely a good look from Azentil at the start of the fight, trying to find that flank on the Malphite, really get in. But unfortunately, Inbred Loser was there to kind of prevent that from happening, kind of create that space for his team and prevent the Malphite from getting a really good ultimate off. I think if Malphite had been able to find that R, that fight may go quite a bit differently for the side of Psychosis, but unfortunately, just 2 split and the Malphite not able to get in there.
Yeah, and now Sunny Waffle does have the core components of the Hourglass, has a Seeker's Arm Guard. So if the Malphite does end up trying to dive onto him, he can just pop that, and it's going to end up being pretty safe for him. Chicken Thuggy also has his ultimate ready for any kind of follow-up to that ultimate that Burgle may throw at him. So Sunny Waffle at this point is going to be a lot safer. And so I really do think that the team fights moving forward need to fully rely on Psychosis diving onto Seafill. Get him out of the game, secure that gold bounty for your team, and then worry about Sunny Waffle shortly thereafter. But you need to be killing either Sunny Waffle or Seafill at the beginning of these fights, or I think they just have too much poke damage. You're not going to survive the fight much longer after that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the side of BBC does have the only Ocean Drake that spawned this particular game. Dusk Legends looking for a kill onto Seafill, but Data Fish is behind, and with the Ziggs ultimate over the top, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, it's a combo as old as time. Ziggs with Jarvan is really nasty. Jarvan locks them into a zone they can't escape. Ziggs ultimate hits everyone inside of Jarvan, the Jarvan ultimate, and so it's just a really easy ultimate to set up. And Kratz, you know, kudos to BBC for setting up a team comp it's easy to execute. And it looks like they really understand their team comp. They're playing it effectively. They're making sure that they're playing around their frontliners very well, and you know, they're pulling off some good plays here. That being said, Asnat does get stunned into a wall. He does get a lot of CC. Ends up flashing into the wall. That's going to result in his death as well, and it should result in the tower going down too. And just play after play after play after play going over to the side of BBC.
Yeah, and I think they hurt us last game. They're definitely trying to push their advantage a lot more. I'd love to see them take this Baron very, very shortly, because these team fights have been going really well for them. The one concern that I would have is there's no more Seekers, and currently the Archangel staff is on cooldown. Sunny Waffle does pick up the full Zhonya's now, but still doesn't have that shield for about another 90 seconds, so they may try to delay the Baron until then.
I think that the Baron is very risky. I think when you have champions like Ziggs on your team, towers are just so much easier to take. I feel like now that you've got bot and mid kind of broken wide open, you send Inbred Loser to the bot lane, you send the rest of your members toward that top, you threaten the Baron, but really you're just trying to get some top pressure, and you just want to make sure you keep track of where Aznatil is, and as long as you have track of Aznatil, you should be good in pushing these side lanes. And so I don't really think there's a need for Baron just yet. In fact, I think if they start Baron, it would be a mistake. That's kind of the only opportunity that you get, that Psychosis has to kind of get back into this game. I think that the pushing power of BBC is more than enough to get enough advantages to end it. Let's just see if they can actually execute on that plan.
We'll see, because Psychosis is definitely, excuse me, Psycho is moving back and forth between mid lane and bot lane, just collecting a lot of this farm. Is on 3 items now.
It's a good spot. Seafill does get knocked up, so let's see what can happen here. Thuggy does have the ultimate in response to try to keep Psycho and Burgle from jumping onto him, and they do take a lot of damage. Psycho has to be really careful here. Has to have the fancy feet, but it's not enough. Sunny Waffle ends up getting the kill and has a killing spree. Meanwhile, Save the Fishes is dominating, ends up getting the kill on the Reborn, falls soon thereafter. Burgle has barely any health. I'm surprised that he even gets out of there. Dusk Legends is forced to use an Hourglass to not die, but that doesn't matter anyways. Ends up dying to Sunny Waffle anyways right after, and now it looks like BBC is on the winning march. They end up diving and killing Aznatil, and let's see if they can actually end the game here. There's only Burgle up and alive. They have the power. They've got 3 minions. Let's see if they can do it here. If they can wave clear this, they've got the minion wave. Sunny Waffle is obviously on a champion that excels. Nope, they're going to call it off. They're going to call it off. They're going to end up turning around and going towards the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and that will be a really big Dragon Soul for them to deny from the side of Psychosis. What a great team fight, though. Really finding those angles that they need and punishing. Like Psycho just could not do anything. The 3 ultimates flying at him, and Sunny Waffle just throwing Qs left and right. Just impossible for him to dodge all of that coming through. And
oh my god, Seafill's damage onto him is crazy.
Ooh.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. They played it perfectly. BBC played them perfectly. They play around the Jarvan ultimate correctly. It makes it very, very hard for Psycho to actually dance when you have not only Seafill's ultimate and his Qs coming over the walls, but you also have Sunny Waffle Qs and Sunny Waffle's ultimate. It's just too much poke to dodge, and ends up falling because of it. So moving forward, I've got a question. How do you think that Psychosis can turn this around and start winning some of these fights?
I think they have to do it the same way they did last time. They have to start off with a pick and then find a team fight where BBC is very vulnerable. At this point, there's not really a good target for them to pick, though. Seafill could be, but he does have that full Zanyas now. A lot safer than he was last game. Sunny Waffle also having the full Zanyas and Archangels, but here we go.
I think this is a mistake by BBC. I do not think they should be doing Baron here. That being said, they do a lot of damage, so obviously Reborn has to get out of there. Seafill does get a little bit low, but is still doing so much damage. Chicken Fuzzy making sure that keeps him alive and able to get away from Azatil. There's a lot of damage going on to the backside of Psychosis, so they don't really have much to worry about there. Azatil is out here in the middle of nowhere by himself. He needs to be careful. He's probably going to have to end up blowing his ultimate, go over this wall and not die. Or he's just going to fall anyways. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Inbred Loser able to take a tower as well. And what the hell was that? I feel like BBC made a mistake by starting Baron, but hey, if you're just going to give them a free kill like that, then of course they're going to take these plays. And BBC is going to end up getting this Baron too, unless Burgle can pull off the steal of his freaking life.
Yeah, 6k health, not going to happen.
Yeah, this is the comp that you cannot do Baron with, right? They've got Xerath and, Ziggs. That is not the team that you want to be taking Barons with. It's very, very slow, but it doesn't even matter. I feel like Psychosis just a really, really bad lapse of communication there. Asmatil ran the entire team down kind of into the pit of Baron and then ended up just getting turned on because of it because he had no one around him. Psycho and Reborn had already backed off because of all the damage they'd taken from the poke. Meanwhile, Dusk Legends was in the bot lane, so you didn't even have your mid laner who has a lot of the damage on your team, 3 kills. Yeah, it just seemed like a really, really bad communication mistake.
Yeah, and we are seeing a 14k gold lead at 33 minutes, which is just absolutely... I mean, they're in the... BBC is in the same position that they were last game, and we need to see them not mess it up this time, because if they do, other teams will absolutely punish.
Yeah. Inbred Loser does do a little bit of a nice play there to end up dodging and getting out of there. If he gets killed, okay. He ends up getting killed and gets shut down by Dusk Legends, so that's some good rolled onto Psychosis, but it's almost looking like it's not going to matter because they're losing all their inhibitors across the map. You got Seafill launching his ultimate, trying to get some more damage to Psycho. Meanwhile, Say the Fish is ended up ulting onto him as well, but he's got a lot of shielding coming on down from Reborn, but he ends up falling anyway, and Reborn falls soon thereafter, and hey, it's going to be their entire team falling. Virgo falls as well, as until the only person left alive, and the towers are falling, and that's going to be the base falling as well. A clean 2-0 for the side of BBC.